Signature moves are a pretty simple way to make certain Pokemon feel more unique. They're fun, sometimes broken, and even define how a Pokemon plays. But the main reason signature moves are so neat is that not every Pokemon has one. So, I'm giving every Pokemon signature moves, so that way no one gets to be special! But before we start, let's go over some ground rules. First, if a Pokemon has ever had a signature move, have it be via evolution, new evolutions, regional forms, etc., they don't get any. On top of that, if a Pokemon once had a signature move, but had it taken away later on, they also don't get any. Basically, if a Pokemon is on the Bulbapedia list of Pokemon with signature moves, they don't get a new signature move. This is the 4th video of mine on this topic, so I hope you enjoy. Unlike in Gen 3, the starters here don't get signature moves of their own, which is a shame, but oh well. Now, since all Gen 4 starters have this thing with their typings, where at least one of their moves is super effective against both starters, I wanted all the starters' signature moves to actually be their secondary types to reflect this, not their primary ones. So, starting us off, we have Torterra, who gets Soil Slam, a 95 base power ground type move that lowers the target's speed by 2, but lowers the user's defense by 1. It's a lot like the soil making up Torterra's back is shaken off, getting all over the target, weighing them down and making them slower. However, since it doesn't have as much padding, Torterra also gets its defense lowered. Personally, I feel like it's balanced, but who am I to say? Infernape is a cool, fun Pokemon. It's a fighting fire monkey. And I'm a sucker for moves that cause status effects despite not being their designated types, like Freezing Glare being able to freeze despite being a psychic type move, not ice. So a move like Friction Kick could be fun, being a 95 base power fighting move with a chance to burn. After all, friction does cause heat, maybe not enough to burn someone, but this is a fantasy world, so I don't really care. And yeah, Infernape would still probably run close combat over this, but oh well. Empoleon's a penguin with a trident on their head. The trident is a 3-pronged spear, so Tri-Spear is a steel-type move that hits 3 times. Not super complicated, but they don't all need to be all the time. Besides, with each attack doing 40 damage, that's essentially a 120 base power steel-type move, so hopefully it's a good, somewhat balanced move. And speaking of not everything having to be super complicated, Barrel just gets Gnaw. It's a 60 base power normal type move. Hey, not all these moves need to be incredible works of art, you know. Sometimes it just needs something new. Staraptor is a fun Pokemon with its impressive attack stat, so why not go all in with Crushing Beak, a 110 flying type move that also lowers the target's defense at the cost of low accuracy. Is it gonna completely get rid of the need for Brave Bird? Probably not, but a little bit of customization like this is always nice. Kricketune is a very music and sound-based Pokemon, its body resembling string instruments, and its arm looks like bows to playset instruments. It has a mustache that resembles a conductor and has one, if not the most iconic cries in the entire game, just behind So to combo this, I decided to give it Eerie Song, a kind of anti-dragon dance, lowering both the attack and speed of the target. Is it enough to make it good? Heck no. Luxray is probably one of, if not the most iconic Pokemon from Sinnoh. Other than, God. So I wanted to give it a pretty good signature move. So, that one move, Charge? The one that raises special attack and makes your next electric type move deal extra damage. Well, I figured I might as well give the similar thing to Luxray just for the sillies. Charge Main is an electric type damage dealing move that charges the target, making them take more damage from the next electric type move they're attacked with. That way you could use this move, switch into something that could really do some damage with electric moves like Miraidon, and nuke it with something like Electro Drift. Rampardos is cool, having some huge attack because of its Ram inspirations. No, not that Ram, this Ram. It is also said to headbutt things with reckless abandon, not really caring about its safety. So, a move like Stone Skull could be fun. It's a strong rock-type attacking move with 110 base power, as well as having a 50% chance to lower the target's defense stat. However, it also has a 50% chance to lower the user's defense stat to fit into that reckless aspect of Rampardos. The counterpart to Rampardos, Bastiodon, is a bastion, a castle, a fortress, dare I say, in the shape of a dinosaur. While Rampardos is purely focused on attack, Bastiodon mostly focuses on defense, boasting a massive defense stat. So, while Rampardos' move has the ability to deal lots of damage, Bastiodon is all about taking 0 damage. Steel Face is like Spiky Shield or Baneful Bunker, where it acts as Protect with extra effects. In this case, if the user is attacked by a move and then uses Steel Face, the user's defense rises. Wormadam has a lot of forms, kinda like Oricorio. Oricorio's signature move, Revelation Dance, changes type based on what form they're in. So I wanted to do something similar, so Wormadam gets Cloak Smack, which, just like Revelation Dance, changes type depending on the form of Wormadam using it. However, Wormadam isn't the only thing Burmy can evolve into. Lots of people simply forget that it has a split evolution, being Mothim. Mothim also doesn't have much going on for it, but its dex entries do mention how it loves drinking honey. So, and something pretty unprecedented, why not make a non-consumable item, the sweet honey, into a consumable item? But only for Mothim, making it even more special. So, if Mothim uses the move Honey Sip while holding a sweet honey, it will consume the item, heal the user for half of their max HP, and raise 3 of their stats at random. However, if you use up the honey or don't have the honey equipped, the move simply fails, preventing you from spamming the random stat boosting. If you don't know much about Pokemon, you probably think that Pachirisu is just a cute little squirrel Pokemon that kind of resembles Pikachu. However, if you do know a decent amount about Pokemon, especially in the VGC area, you might know that Pachirisu is an unexpected legend. It has bad stats and a bad ability, but its success lies in one of its moves, Follow Me, which forces the target to attack the user. But I'm not a VGC channel. If you want to know more about this strategy, you should watch Wolfie VGC. But to honor this legend of a squirrel, I decided to give it the move Follow You, making the target attack the ally instead of them. Is it great? Probably not, but I bet it could see some play with a little imagination. Ambipom is known for being A, ugly, and B, having multiple different tail hands as a reference to monkeys with prehensile tails. They are also known for stealing things with those tails, and there are some Pokemon moves that have a chance to steal items, so it's kind of perfect. So the move Double Snatch is a normal type move that hits twice and has a chance to steal the target's held item. Drifblim is a big balloon. Balloons go pop. And on top of that, Drifloon is said that if it pops, the souls inside of it will spill all over the place. Kind of morbid, but I guess it works. I guess. However, Drifblim is also known for, well, blowing up. At this point, I just think it's a trend. Big roundish Pokemon that are known to be extremely volatile. So why not make it a new move, Soul Burst? It's just a ghost-type explosion. Alright, Miss Magius is a really fun one. Miss Magius is based on a witch. Duh. The big hat and putting curses on people, it kind of really just mirrors witches in media. But also, witches in media also have a variety of spells they can use, with witches having a spell book and such. And while yes, this could be just seen as a Pokemon's moveset, but every Pokemon has a moveset. Not everyone can use a move as unique as this one. Spellcast, it's a ghost-type status move that allows the user to use any ghost-type Pokemon move at random. Yeah, any. Working as a ghost-only metronome. Would Game Freak add something like this to the actual games? I doubt it, but one can always imagine. Perugly is shockingly fast. It's also really annoying, at least whenever Mars uses it. But what about taking the best thing Paragley has, being really fast, and just taking it away? At least for this specific move. Fluffy Tumble is a normal type move, doing a massive 120 base power, with the only drawback being that when used, it always goes last. Yeah, it's kind of slow, but you definitely wouldn't want to be hit by it. Spiritomb is made up of exactly 108 souls. But I wonder, do some of those souls go dormant when the Pokemon takes damage? If they do, a move like Wicked Bomb might be able to be pretty fun. Being a ghost-type multi-hit move in which the amount it hits depends on how much health Spiritomb has left. 4 times at 75 HP or higher, 3 times between 50 and 74%, 2 times between 25 and 49%, and only once at 24% or lower. Garchomp is a super cool Pokemon, being a pseudo-legendary, so it's already super strong, but it's also a desert land shark. That's so cool. And I wanted to lean into its desert inspirations as well as pushing players into using Garchomp in a sandstorm, something that's already a thing with Sandforce. Granular Lunge is a ground-type move that deals 100 base damage, but it usually goes last. However, if it's used in a sandstorm, then it becomes a priority move, almost always going first. Now, believe it or not, but I do in fact play TCG Pocket. I've admitted it before. However, that being said, one of my favorite cards is a Drapion one, where if you flip 4 coins, doing damage with more heads. However, if you get a certain amount of heads, the target also becomes poisoned. I think this is a fun little move, so Relentless Stinger is a dark-type physical move that hits anywhere between 1 and 4 times. If it lands a perfect 4 times, the target also becomes poisoned. Toxicroak is a poison and fighting type. However, I usually think of it as a fighting type first and poison type second. And while fighting is a very offensive type, poison is a very defensive one. So, I also think that there should be a good balance of physical, special, and status moves for each type, and fighting has almost entirely physical moves, so why not give it a status move, even if it is a signature one. Selfless Guard works somewhat similar to Wide Guard or Reflect, protecting you and your ally. During this turn, all damage dealt to the user or their ally will be reduced by half. On top of that, if it's a physical move, the attacker is poisoned. Carnivine is Venus Flytrap, so even though Bug is usually super effective against grass types, would it be fun if the tables were turned? So, Thorny Slash is a grass type physical move that deals super effective damage to bug types. I wanted to have Bite in the name somewhere, but I guess it could have been Thorny Bite, but I don't know, that something about it feels wrong. Magnezone could use his magnets for this one. Magnetic Pulse. He uses his magnets to attack the target, having a 50% chance to pull away their item. However, if used on a steel-type move, the item stealing is guaranteed. Electabuzz and Magmar are counterparts in almost every single way. They're Origin exclusives in almost every game they're in. They both got baby forms in Gen 2 and brand new evolutions in Gen 4 with Electivire and Magmortar. To showcase this time of rivalry, their moves are going to be somewhat similar, but distinct enough. Taser Jabs is Electivire's, dealing 90 physical electric damage and lowering the target's attack, while Magma Hurl, Magmortar's move, is a 90 base power fire special move that lowers the target's special attack. Different types, opposite damage type, and opposite effects. Kinda perfect. Mammothswine gets a kind of fun move. When I see Mammothswine, I can really imagine it hurtling towards you with no regard to itself. So a move like Head-On Collision is a ground-type physical move that boasts a massive 170 base power, but it has the caveat of dealing equal damage to the user that the user has dealt to the target. Kinda like a real-life Head-On Collision. Crazy coincidence. Gallade is a lot of the time overshadowed by its counterpart, Gardevoir, so I decided to give him a somewhat interesting move to compensate for that. See, Gallade is said to use their psychic abilities to protect their opponent's next move. So Gallade has some level of precognition. So why not give him a physical version of Future Sight with Predicted Slash? That's all it is. Multiple of Dusknoir's entries reference how it is able to consume souls with its giant mouth on its torso. In almost every single game, especially cartoony, less realistic games, eating food is how you heal. So if eating souls is Dusknoir's source of food, then they would probably heal from that too, right? Soul Eater is a Ghost-type 95 base power move that, if knocks out the target, then the user will heal up to a third of their max HP. And finally, Rotom, a Pokemon who, kind of like Wormadam, has a lot of different forms along with different typings. However, Rotom has a much better concept and is overall more interesting than Wormadam, so instead of just changing type based on what form Rotom is in, something like Appliance Strike would be really fun to see, where it's simply a 70 base power electric move, but the secondary effect changes based on the form. Base form Rotom is supposedly a light bulb, so it would lower the target's accuracy, like it's blinding the target. Heat Rotom is an oven, so it has a chance to raise the special attack, like it's heating up. Wash Rotom is a washing machine, and would have a chance to lower the target's speed, like it's spilled water all over the floor, making it difficult to move. Freeze Rotom is a freezer, so it prevents the target from escaping, like their feet are frozen to the floor. Mow Rotom is a lawnmower and would destroy the terrain for obvious reasons. And Fan Rotom is a fan. Since fans are used for blowing wind, it would have a small, albeit possible, chance to set up Tailwind. Now, there are certainly a bunch of Pokemon I skipped over, but since I'm trying to get a video every week, and these specific videos take a lot of time, I don't really have the time to give the rest of them their whole own section, so enjoy the short montage I constructed. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed, because this certainly took a while. But before I leave, you should, totally subscribe or something. That would be kind of cool. But with that being said, see ya, and stay safe.